Hello, Taurus. Welcome to your August Soul session. I am Princess India. If you're new, and if you're family, welcome back, my friend. So, we're going to be looking at an overall energy as well as a challenge for you all. And then we're going to be getting into a more specific spread to see what is going on with you all for the month of August. I hope you have been well, my wonderful Taurians. And hopefully, I let my computer rest. So hopefully this, looks a lot better than all of the soul sessions prior to yours, Taurus. But anyway, our overall energy for the month of August is the Knight of Swords. This is challenged by the 10 of Cuppies. Interesting. Of course, I want to go ahead and clarify this to make sure we're not dealing with a person. But what it is looking like, Taurus, what I will give you a heads up on in the month of August, it would behoove you to kind of watch your reactionary behaviors, because I feel more or less in the month of August, it can kind of feel like to Taurus, and I've been feeling this for other signs as well, almost as if you have like a short fuse, if you will, and it could potentially feel like you're being attacked, right? So, we find ourselves in times like that. I don't want to say a lot, but just in general, like if you just kind of wake up on the wrong side of the bed, or you just had a less than stellar week. I know kids are going back to school, so that's, if you're a parent, that's a hectic time already. But it just feels to me kind of having like a short fuse, where if a person, says something to you or asks you something, it could potentially kind of be received, because of so much else going on. It could be kind of received as if you're being attacked, but that's not necessarily the case. It can also feel like you're kind of navigating challenges alone, like feeling as if you don't necessarily have, external support at this particular time, or you're bearing the burden of, whatever's going on in your life by yourself, right? So I feel the biggest challenge for my Taurians in the month of August is kind of to keep hope alive. You know what I mean? Because I get this vibe where there is the potential for Taurus to kind of fall into a bit of disillusionment. Well, that makes sense. Okay. My guides just showed me makes sense. It's like, how can I explain that? I can't freaking talk. How can I explain this? This is almost like, if, do I want to say it that way? I don't think I have a choice. It's kind of like if you were to take your anger out on the wrong person type of vibe. So that's what I mean by like a short fuse. So if Taurus has like a gazillion different things on their mind, like different responsibilities you need to take care of, or a gazillion different things that are kind of tugging at you, right? And, a person comes to ask something of you, and it's kind of like the straw that breaks the camel's back, and you like flash out at the person. I feel that's coming from a place from within. So it's either something like, you're overwhelmed, or if we go deeper than that, it's kind of like a feeling of like incompetence, right? And I'm saying not this for everyone, but just different scenarios. So it's like, say if it's a whole bunch of money that you have to shell out for stuff, and you don't feel like you're going to have enough money to handle all of these expenses, it's really coming from a place of like Taurus being angry at themselves because they can't handle it. And it's like viewing yourself as incompetent or something like that, because you don't have the finances readily available to handle this particular thing. You know what I mean? So when you lash out at this person, it's not really the person, it's not really what they did. And I feel in your conscious mind, it could seem that way. You could even allow yourself to believe that. But I feel the vulnerability that existed prior to this particular encounter, or several encounters, is how Taurus is feeling about themselves, right? And I feel the thing that needs to be confronted with Taurus, and I don't know what's going on with y'all, child. I can't recall what I said for y'all last month, but it feels like it's coming from a place of, I don't know, being kind of like kicked while you're down, maybe, or a series of unfortunate events. So it's kind of being in this space where I don't want to say you full on lost hope, but it's just kind of being disillusioned about the future. You know what I mean? It's like it's challenging to see things getting better from here, or things changing from what they are now, or, maybe coming to a point to where it's like you're accepting, like, this is just my lot in life. This is just what it is. But with this 10 of Cups showing up in the challenge position, that's saying to me that there is hope, that there is the potential for what it is you guys are desiring to come to pass. Hence why it would be a challenge to do so. I don't think you'd be challenged to do something that wasn't possible. You feel what I'm saying? So how I would sum that up is like keeping hope alive. It's like looking at everything as if what's happening right now is temporary, and it's not permanent. It's not guaranteed to last forever. It's just like a season, and it's more or less seeing it from that perspective and not allowing, what's happening right now to make you feel like things are never going to get better. Oh, okay, yeah, legit. The clarifying card, I don't know if y'all can see it because it's so tiny, but it's adjacent possibilities that's clarifying this Knight of Swords. So what this feels like to me, Taurus, is you guys are in the is not version of the is not is paradigm that I've talked about for years. So there is opportunities for you guys that are coming, that are right around the corner. They may be delayed because of Mercury retrograde. You know what I mean? But it's where you guys are. It's delayed, but it's not denied. And I feel the main trigger point for Taurus is that it seems like it's denied because it is delayed, and it's kind of, losing hope, and that's kind of affecting your mood in so many words. That's making you vulnerable. But why I feel all of this is coming up is to kind of give you a heads up about it, so you can protect yourself throughout the, course of the month of August, because the Knight of Swords, it's a tricky energy. You feel what I'm saying? With the Knight of Swords, you can end up saying things that you wish you did not say, that you cannot take back. You know what I'm saying? You can respond in ways that can cause far more damage. But I really feel the issue is it's coming from an emotional space. So it's like being reactionary based off an emotion, and the emotion is temporary. Like feelings are not facts, right? But it's almost Taurus being vulnerable to behaving in a way as if their feelings are facts, and I feel like that could end up, putting you in a position to where you're shooting yourself in the foot and robbing yourself of the opportunities that are awaiting you, but they're just delayed presently. So I hope and pray that that's making sense. Now, getting into our more specific spread, our central energy that's representing Taurus, more knights, we have the Knight of Wands. Your past influence, interesting, is the Three of Wands. Okay. Your hidden influence, I see it, the Strength in the reverse as Leo energy. Your potential outcome is the Ace of Cuppies. And what to look out for moving forward, child, is the Five of Cups in the reverse. So here is the dealio, Taurus. This is a reinforcement of what I was speaking about in you guys' overall energy. But I'm going to start with your past influence. With your past influence being the Three of Wands, it's very reminiscent of what I was just speaking to you guys about in your challenge. I feel like in the mid to like latter part of July, you guys may have been in a funked out mood, you know what I mean, in July. But towards the middle to the end part of the month, you're like, I'm going to be positive. You know what I mean? I'm going to, look to the future, take a chance. I'm going to believe, do my positive affirmations. That's kind of the vibe I have. So it's almost like I'm not going to pay attention to, any negativity. I'm going to be positive. I'm focused on the future. You feel what I'm saying? However, I feel where we are presently with this Knight of Wands, I think it has a lot to do with the energies right now, because of course, we're in Saturn retrograde, we're in Mercury retrograde, and child, the way that this energy has been affecting people is something else. You feel what I'm saying? But I feel it's an energetic wave that you're in. So in reality, right, the path that you were on is the right path, right? But I feel it was almost like an energetic wave of optimism that hit you guys. And it's like, I'm going to stand firm with this. But now, since the energy has shifted, it's kind of sucking you into that energy. Now, to give you a little insight into this of how this happens, I do not know. What I just heard, I'm like, enough of that this month. What I just heard is it's a parable that's in the Bible where it talks about, it's the, what is it, the sower and the reaper, the parable of the sower, right? And this is kind of like, it's not identical to that story, because like with Libra, their whole freaking reading was literally like a story of Passover. But with this, is just one element I'm being shown to hone in on. And like in the story, it talks about like a sower who's dropping seeds in different places that he drops seeds, and it's like a metaphor for people receiving messages or whatever, right? Like universal truths or what have you. But the thing that I'm being told to hone in on is like the seeds that fell like on dirt that's on top of like, the little cobblestone road or whatever. So because there's a little bit of soil, it's like they sprout, but because they're not able to, dig their roots down into the soil because it's concrete underneath it, then when, the sun gets hot, they like shrivel up and die, in so many words, right? Now, the thing that's being highlighted in reference to this is kind of how this wave of optimism was. So how I would translate that is almost like transits that happen. So if you think about astrologically, when a transit happens, certain planets could be aligned. You wake up on the right side of the bed. Suddenly you feel super optimistic and motivated to knock it out of the park, right? So that, seed sprouts, right? But then when the energy shifts again and the planets realign, and the energy that it shifts to may be a more resistance or, challenging type of energy, because you weren't deeply rooted in that optimism, meaning that like it came from within, like you assigned life a why, you assigned your, your path a purpose, you've defined what challenges and struggles mean in your life and things of the sort, right? So now when this energy shifts, because you're not deeply rooted in that optimism, because it was an energy shift, the same way you mirror that positive energy is the same way that you're mirroring, the challenging or negative or less than stellar kind of energy. You feel what I'm saying? So, and I mean, I feel that within itself is a lesson, because as we're growing spiritually, we don't want to be in a place to where we're at the will of our circumstance, energies that are in the sky, other people, you feel what I'm saying? You want to be deeply rooted and grounded in your value system, your belief system. So despite, whatever, child, I'm hearing all kinds of scriptures. I'm hearing the one about, like building on rocks. So no matter what storms come or whatever, it's like, whatever. Yeah. But that kind of vibe, it's like you being firmly rooted and planted on your value system or your belief system. So despite whatever storms may come, you're still going to stand firm. So I feel like that is a huge portion of the part of what it is you're learning in the month of August that's coming to the forefront. You know what I mean? To kind of pay attention to that. So the message with that is really what this 10 of Cups would represent for Taurus, like what your end all be all full on happiness is, whatever that is for you guys. And it not being situational, you know what I mean? Like it not being contingent upon other people, their behaviors, what they do, what they don't do. And it gets kind of deep because it's kind of like a soul searching type of thing. It's like on a deep core level, what really is happiness for you in so many words, right? But with this Knight of Wands here, the thing that's concerning with that, with the overall energy being the Knight of Swords, that's double masculine energy. And those are both very impulsive, sometimes irrational energies. It's where you're acting and you're not thinking things through. So the thing I have to stress with Taurus is in the month of August, Taurus is very, 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 very bold letters, underline, vulnerable, right? And you're vulnerable to being reactionary. You can do things that you really don't want to do. Well, yeah, things you don't really want to do. You can say things that you really don't mean. And it's because there's a culmination of things that are happening external to you. But it's the fact that I feel leading up until August, you haven't addressed that the real problem lies within. And I'm not saying that in like a woo-woo, fuddy-duddy type of way. It's literally, and I can give you an example. An example is I at work, there was a particular client I was working with, and I was having so many challenges because it's completely outside of my expertise, because I don't work with children, I don't work with teenagers. That's not my calling, right? But because of the circumstances, it was a child, teenager that I had to see, right? And with what their challenge was, it's just completely outside of my realm of practice, right? And I couldn't understand why I was so upset. You know what I mean? Like, I was literally in my office, like, just frustrated, and I'm talking to a coworker about it, and as I'm like, explaining my challenges, I just bust out crying. I am not a crier, okay? So I bust out crying, and I was like, why am I crying? Like, what is wrong with me? Because typically with a challenge, I'm just like, all right, let's sit down, let's break this apart, and we're going to find a solution. But for some reason, it's like I started crying, and then I just was angry, and I couldn't figure out. I was like, why am I like so mad, right? Like, not at the client, but it's like I just was in a bad, like, shit mood, right? Which just not my stilo. And I was sitting there, couldn't figure out what was going on. I was just in a crap mood the whole day. And then it finally hit me when I was in a meeting, and I'm talking to two other clinicians, and we were doing like a check-in, and it literally hit me where I was like, oh my God, I feel incompetent, right? And they're like, what? Because I was having a whole conversation in my head. And I was like, that's why I'm so upset. I was like, I'm upset because I don't have the answer, and I feel like I should have the answer. And because I don't have the answer, I feel incompetent. And that's why I'm angry, right? And as soon as I said that out loud, I felt 1,000 times better. It completely cleared my mind to where I was able to like sit down and really look at this whole case and create like a whole, strategy plan of what we were going to do moving forward in the sessions, right? So the truth of the matter is, in a subconscious sense, it was pinging on a feeling that I felt about myself. Consciously, I wasn't thinking. Like, I'm just like, I feel mad. I don't know why I'm so mad. I feel like I'm about to cry. What is going on with me, right? So that's what I mean about, like, whenever I talk about subconscious and conscious, that's how easy it is. Like, it's never going to be tip top of your mind. You have to kind of sit with your emotions in order for that truth to come to the forefront, right? But I say that to say, Taurus, and this is me dropping down into you guys' hidden influence being the strength in the reverse. It's a very similar situation to the one that I was in. There's some feeling that you guys have deep down inside. You might need to sit with it for a little bit, to where you guys are feeling a level of incompetence or not good enough, or, because I look at strength in the reverse as like a self-esteem card. So it's things that are related to, I'm not good enough, I can't do it, I'm not qualified, you know what I mean? I'm not good in this particular area. It's things kind of in that realm of like, self-esteem. It also can speak to self-compassion, like a lack thereof of self-compassion, and that can manifest as being extremely hard on yourself, being a perfectionist, and things of the sort. On the other side, this can be things like indulgence, like overindulging in things, being a thrill seeker, you know what I mean? Fraternizing with hedonism and things of the sort. But it's something along those lines that's your hidden influence that's lying beneath all of this, that's motivating, or could be, what's the word? I don't want to say motivating, because I don't necessarily feel that it's motivating your behavior. It's just almost like a perfect storm where all of these things come together, because there's this thing underneath that's stewing. And because this energy is here and you're already vulnerable, I feel like these things can come together and create a potential disaster if you're not aware of it, and you don't, kind of not hold yourself accountable, but what's the word I'm looking for? to kind of be mindful, to be self-aware, you know what I mean? And to not just react to things. I feel like you just having it in your mind of coming into this month with the perception of, okay, I am a little vulnerable. I do have stuff going on. Don't really know what's going on with me just yet. Like, I didn't have my epiphany of what it is that I'm feeling deep down. But just knowing that you're vulnerable, then when things come and you're triggered, that's a good way of looking at it, is being mindful of when you're triggered and holding yourself. I'm not going to say like, just don't flat out, override your triggers. It's very difficult to do, but just being conscious this month that when you are triggered, use opposite action. Like, whatever your action urge is to do something, just don't do that, right? Because it's 9 times out of 10 not going to work in your favor, right? So another thing I would tell you guys as well, with this Ace of Cups in the reverse being in your potential outcome, and this is speaking to the latter part of August, something that I can tell you guys for sure, if there is something that you guys have been waiting for or are hoping to manifest this month, I don't see the likelihood of it manifesting in the month of August. Not saying it's never going to happen, because like I said, whatever this is, I feel like it's delayed. So I don't necessarily see it manifesting in the month of August. However, I do feel in a sense Taurus could potentially be putting a time frame on this thing, almost to where, it usually doesn't take this long to hear back from someone. So, when the last day of August comes, your headspace could potentially be like a whole month or a month and a half. Like, they should have said something by now, and you kind of discount yourself and say like, well, that must be it. You know what I'm saying? Like, I probably didn't get it, or it's not going to happen, or it's not coming. You know what I mean? And I feel with that too, more than these little things that can kind of trigger you guys throughout the month of August, I feel like the big dundada is really, and this really to me feels last day, or at the very least the last week of August. You know what I mean? Because I feel what you're guarding yourself against, and this goes into my is not is paradigm, you're guarding yourself against the is not. For those of you who aren't familiar with my is not is paradigm, it's the process in which things manifest into our lives, right? Everything follows that same order. Whenever we're calling something into our life, or we're intending something like you guys are doing with this 3 of Wands and your past influence, it starts that process. So the is not has to manifest before the is, because the universe likes to fill voids, right? So the is not is a void that is created that's holding the space for the thing that you're calling in. But I find in all these years I've been doing all these things is where we as humans get off track is in the is not. So the example I always use is if we say, I hate my job, I want another job. And then we go to work the next day and get fired, right? We completely panic. We totally forget that we were saying, I want a new job, I want a new job. So you losing the job is the is not that's creating the void for the new job to come in. But what happens to people more often than not, which is what I'm seeing in your what to look out for, and 5 of Cups in the reverse, is you get lost in this is not, right? Not understanding that the is not showing up is a testament that the thing that you called in is on its way. But a lot of times, like I was saying with this 3 of Wands, with that parable story, is we're not deeply rooted. So when you're not deeply rooted, it's just like a pseudo, growth and transformation. You feel what I'm saying? But when things get hot and difficult, it's like you shrivel up and you die, right? So I feel what all of this is, it's it's kind of a forewarning, sort of, but it's really a call to action to like stand on your shit in so many words. It's like, if you're going to talk about it, be about it. Like, whatever it is that you're saying that you believe, or, what you stand for, what it is that you value, August is giving you an opportunity to put that into action. It's giving you the opportunity to be a person of integrity, right? Because all integrity is living in accordance with what your values are, right? So if, you're believing, manifesting, calling things in, burning candles, all the things, right? It's you standing 10 toes down and firm on that. So that same energy that you had in the past with this 3 of Wands, it's standing on that in spite of what it looks like outside of you, because a principle, and most of y'all who've been with me for years, I love y'all be sending me emails and stuff about how when y'all were going through a challenging time, you heard my voice in your head. It was like, this is just an is not is paradigm. And it's like, suddenly I felt better. But that's why I teach you guys things like that, because it's imperative to apply principles like the spiritual principles to your life, because it applies in a myriad of different situations, right? So this is more or less, if you want to consider this a forewarning, it's a heads up to not fall for the okie doke, but it's simultaneously giving you an opportunity to practically apply what it is that you know and to not fall for it. Because I feel if you guys fall into this is not, it would be you that inadvertently takes yourself off the path, that takes yourself off course for the thing that it is that you're calling in the first place, right? And that's why I made up it's not his paradigm, because that's something that I see people fall into countless times. It's you get so caught up into the delay, and now you're calling the delay a denial. And because you're calling the delay a denial, now you're walking away from, your delivery point. You know what I'm saying? So what you called in comes in, but you're not there to receive it. You feel what I'm saying? And you end up making a temporary low vibrational situation or an is not situation into a permanent situation. And no one else did that but our own choices. You know what I'm saying? So I feel, and I don't know, I feel compelled to say this to you, Taurus, because I am a Taurus. I'm a double Taurus. I know a lot of Tauruses, Tauri. And I feel a Taurian trait, and I don't know if I've ever seen this in like, a zodiac book or anything, but I feel we have a tendency to be a tad melancholic and, suckers for suffering. You know what I mean? I don't think that, I don't think I know any Taurus whose life has been, a cakewalk. You feel what I'm saying? But it's almost like we are gluttons for punishment a little bit, to where we're so used to things not going in our favor that becomes like the standard expectation. You know what I mean? And you don't want to fall into that, because that's how we can easily kind of, grow a temporary situation into a more permanent one. So the key with this, hold on, I think my kid's about to walk here. Wait 1 minute. Sorry about that, Taurus. But anyway, you don't want to be like falling for being like a glutton for punishment and making something that's temporary more permanent when it doesn't have to be. So looking at this objectively, I feel that this is a great opportunity. I feel like the message that it's giving you is giving you the main tool that it is that you need in the month of August, which is the awareness that just energetically, and for some of you situationally, but energetically, you are a lot more vulnerable, you know what I mean, to external stimuli. There is the potential to not necessarily feel supported or feeling like you need to defend yourself or protect yourself, but needing to understand on a deeper level that this is coming from a place, like I told you with my story, it's coming from a place of a belief that you're having about yourself. And that needs to be addressed. Well, I'm not going to say needs, but it would behoove you to address that. But it's less about coming to a resolution with what your hidden influence is, and more about learning how to function in spite of that, which is a very temperance kind of energy. You know what I mean? Because of course, you guys know most of my messages, all of my messages really are, self-improvement based. And I get a lot of questions about that, of people being fearful of, well, what if I can't figure out what it is? Or what if I, don't know how to fix it? It's not always about like fixing it or getting to, the foundational solution of it, because that's something that takes work. You guys know I always say that as a therapist, like nothing happens overnight. I can tell you that. But the key is for us to learn skills and for us to learn, coping tools and whatnot, for even though we may not have resolution on the thing that's happening inside of us, it's us learning to alter our behavior so that our behavior is more effective until we're able to get resolution about things that we're feeling inside of ourselves, right? So you may not feel like getting up and going to work, right? But how you feel is going to potentially put your job in jeopardy. It's going to stop money from being in your pocket. And those are practicalities. So it's not really so much about how you feel, it's learning how to live and to be a productive human being in spite of what we're feeling sometimes. It's not to say to deny your feelings or to suppress them. It's just until we get to the root of it, I need to take some actions that are going to be in my best interest until I'm able to get resolution on this particular thing that I am feeling. So I hope and pray that that makes sense, Taurus. So I think I'm gonna do this. I'm bringing my dice of resonance back. Those of you who are new have no idea what that is. I don't think the dice of resonance have been on my channel since like 2019, but it's literally how I used to end all of my readings. But I'm going to throw them for you guys so you guys can ask a question. So there's one facet of them that describes like a person, and there is a yes or no question that you can ask. So go ahead and ask that question. You know what I'm saying? I don't feel that this necessarily speaks about a person, but I don't know, if you have a question about a person, you could throw it in there. You know what I'm saying? And, you know, throw in little yes or no question that you have. So let's see. This is so cool. You guys are the first ones that I'm getting to use these with. I mean, in years. Okay. So we have Sun, we have Cancer, we have Sagittarius, we have female, and we have Bay. So this may be a Bay. That is a Cancer sun or a Sagittarius sun, a female. And the answer to your question is no, ma'am. I'm not kidding. It really says that. I don't know if y'all are going to be able to see it on the die. Hold on. Oh, wait, my face. My camera's trying to autofocus. I don't think you guys can you see it? I think y'all can see it. Maybe. But it says no, ma'am. It really does say that. So the answer to your question is no, ma'am. And we have Sun, Sag, Cancer, female, and Bay. Let me know what y'all think about those. You know what I'm saying? What not a rap. But anywho, that has been your soul session for August, Taurus. Most certainly let me know what you think in the comments. Let me know if you like the dice of resonance. You know what I'm saying? And if you are an OG, go ahead and put some dice down there in the comments or in the chat. You know what I'm saying? But anyway, I love your face, Taurus, and I will see you guys sooner than later.